To kick things off, let's just start off with a physical comparison between the Apple MacBook Pro and the MSI Creator 16 AI Studio. Now, it's not going to be an exact apples to apples comparison since I am going with a 14-inch Apple laptop versus a 15 to 16-inch Windows laptop, which is what I'm normally used to. The whole goal of me picking up this Apple laptop was seeing if something in a smaller form factor would actually work for my needs, since I've more or less just stuck with 15 to 16-inch laptops, and they are quite bulky and quite heavy and do take up quite a lot of space when I'm traveling. So I want to know if the 14-inch laptop will do what I need or even exceed everything that I need to do. It looks like the MacBook Pro is 1.5 centimeters or 15 millimeters, while the MSI Creator 16 AI Studio looks to be 2.2. The port selection is also a pretty big difference. Looking on the left side of the laptop, for the MacBook Pro, you have MagSafe, 2 Thunderbolts, and a audio jack. And then on the Creator 16, you have a Kensington lock, Ethernet port, HDMI out, micro SD card reader, and then a Type-C display port. Now, so on the other side, on the MacBook, you have one HDMI out, another Thunderbolt, and then a SD card reader, a full-size SD card reader. On the Creator 16 AI Studio, you have the charger port, a USB Type-A, one Thunderbolt port that also accepts power delivery, and then an audio jack here as well. No ports on the back of these laptops. One of the big differences is on the Creator 16, MSI squeezed in a numpad. If you do a lot of data entry or Excel sheets, having a numpad, even though it is smaller than a typical numpad, having this is a little bit easier to enter those numbers in instead of trying to find it here in this row. That's most of the physical differences, minus one more, which is actually inside underneath the Creator 16 AI Studio. When it comes to purchasing a MacBook, the storage space capacity that you need, you usually need to decide right up front how much that you're going to need. If you wanted to upgrade the storage after the purchase, I don't believe you can. You might have to just buy a new one. I don't think you could upgrade to 1 terabyte or more internal. I think the only option you would have after point of purchase is using like an external SSD or some sort of external drive. On Windows laptops, however, while it will depend on the model that you get, not every configuration or model will have this option, but the Creator 16 does come with this option, which I'm trying and struggling really hard to show you without actually breaking this bottom panel. I think I finally got it off. There we go. Whoops. Now, not all Windows laptops have this feature, so it'll depend on the manufacturer plus the configuration, what spec that you get. But with the Creator 16 laptop, it actually comes with 2 M.2 slots. One of these is the boot drive. I can't remember exactly which one is the boot drive, but then the second one is also an additional storage that I just plugged in. And so instead of just having a 2 terabyte boot drive, I now have a total of 4 terabytes to work with internally. And so I don't need to really use a external SSD or storage device. When using the Creator 16 Studio, it's all in here. So that's one less thing that hanging off the side of this laptop. If I find that the additional storage drive isn't enough space, like I could potentially throw in an 8 terabyte, depending on the capacity or the limitations of the laptop itself, or if there's something that happens to the drive where maybe it gets corrupted, I could just replace it with another one. So I think having the option to open it up and throw in whatever off-the-shelf M.2 SSD storage that you want into the Creator 16, I think that's a huge plus of this machine versus the MacBook Pro. Now, the last final thing I want to do is compare the weights of these products. Not just the laptops themselves, but also with the charger brick. So the 14-inch MacBook by itself is 3 pounds and 8 ounces, so that's about 3.5 pounds. If we look at grams, wow, is it exactly 1,600 grams? Is that right? It weighs in at 2,128 grams, or 4 pounds 11 ounces is around 4.7 pounds. But the laptop by itself is not the only story when it comes to the weight, because it runs on battery. It's eventually going to run out of electricity where you need to recharge it, right? This is the charger for the Creator 16 AI Studio, and as you can see, it's pretty big. In total, the weight comes out to 6 pounds and about 7 ounces, so just under 6.5 pounds. And if you look at the grams, it bumps up to 2,917 grams. You need this big of a charger because of the graphics card, the 4090 NVIDIA GPU inside this thing. To actually get the full performance, it needs to be plugged into a wall outlet. And this is what's required to provide that power in order to keep that GPU able to perform at its highest capability. You can charge this laptop with a Type-C cable, but you won't be able to get that full performance because there's only so much power that a USB-C wall outlet can output in comparison to this charging brick right here. This charging brick can output 240 watts, whereas with Type-C chargers, you'll probably get like 100 watts, or there's some with 140 watts, like the Ugreen one that I have. Now going back to the MacBook, if I use the included charger, this MacBook Pro weighs in at 4 pounds and 5 ounces. So that's about 4.3 pounds or 1,957 grams. So in total, this setup is about 2 pounds lighter or 1 kilogram or 1,000 grams lighter than the Creator 16 AI Studio when weighing the charger and the laptops together. Since this only comes with one Type-C and I think it maxes out at a 96 watts of output, I'm gonna throw my Ugreen charger on here, which is it's about the same size, just slightly smaller, but this comes with 2 Type-Cs and a Type-A. So one port does 140 watts, the second one does 100 watts. I don't know how much the Type-A charges. No, still about 4 pounds, 5 ounces. It's showing 4.9 ounces. It's about 2 grams lighter, so negligible, but so when I do travel, I'm going to bring the Ugreen one with me instead of the included Apple charger. So I'm just gonna store this away somewhere. Now, I don't think anyone's surprised that the 14-inch MacBook Pro is lighter compared to the 16-inch Creator 16. They're two different classes of products, I would say. It's not fair to compare them. It's not an apples to apples comparison, as I said earlier. You know, you're getting a 14-inch display versus a 16-inch display, so they are slightly different. But for my use case, right, I now know that I'm saving about 2 pounds or 1 kilogram of weight traveling with this setup versus the Creator 16. And it'll take up a little bit less space compared to what I have to bring with the Creator 16 and its charger. Now, what I want to find out is whether or not this MacBook Pro can keep up with the Creator 16 when it comes to video editing, photo editing while I'm traveling. I do have some concerns with this MacBook Pro. I did make some trade-offs. The 14-inch display, I really don't know if it's enough for me. I'm so used to 16-inch laptops, so I am giving up quite a bit of screen real estate, but it's one of the trade-offs that I decided to make when going with this MacBook Pro. Another concern that I have is the internal storage of the MacBook Pro. It only comes with 1 terabyte. The Creator 16 that I use has a 2 terabyte boot drive and an additional 2 terabyte storage drive for 4 terabytes. So I'm going from 4 terabytes down to 1 terabyte. Maybe once I'm done with projects, I move them off of this laptop and onto like a backup storage somewhere. I also have this external Thunderbolt enclosure that has a M.2 drive in here to also use as backup to in case I do need more storage. And this is probably the drive that I'll be using to see whether or not I can edit with the video files on an external drive. As for this video, I'm gonna end it here. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.